Hi everyone, it's Tammy with Frou-frou Studio. Welcome back for episode 2 of Wednesday Grunge Play. Thank you guys so much for your positive feedback about the first episode, and I'm so glad that a lot of you gave me a yay on Instagram to continue with this. So I'm going to make this a weekly thing for a little while and hopefully show you guys some techniques for grunging up your journals. Today we're going to do a salt wash technique that I've never done on paper, so it's kind of an experiment. But we're going to try it out and see if it will work. And if it does, yay. And if not, then we can chalk it up to a failure and move on to the next thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, actually the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these manila heavy cardstock tags, and I'm going to put a base coat down. Now, if whatever you're doing this on, you want to start with a darker base. In my opinion, this works the best. So I'm about to sneeze, so if I do, please excuse me, but I feel it coming. My normal materials that I work on for doing this would have been furniture or signs or something like this. I've never done it on paper, so we're going to try it and see how it works. And like I said, it could be a total fail, but in my mind it will work. I'm going to take some of this plain water and pour in this smaller cup because I need just a little bit of it, but I've got that sitting there to put my brushes in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down a base coat on this tag, and I'm going to use just an acrylic paint. It doesn't have to be anything expensive or anything like that. And I'm using this brown color so that my darkest color is going to be on the bottom. And I'm just going to coat this tag, and we're going to dry it, and then we'll go on to the next phase. It doesn't have to be a total coverage. You don't have to do 2-3 coats, so that it looks like a finished coverage is what I'm saying. Now, if this was furniture, this would probably already be like a wood stain. So that's what I'm kind of wanting to duplicate here is, something that looks like it has stained wood on it. So, like I said, I'm not worried about it being totally covered or having a nice clean coat. I'm just wanting to put something down on there. And you definitely want to, this is not going to be a neat thing, so you want to cover up, your mats and stuff, and get you something underneath this that's not going to mess up your work surface. I'm going to put that in water, and then I'm going to dry it really quick. And I could have done this ahead of time, but I wanted you guys to see the full process. So bear with me with, drying everything in between. And like Tim Holt says, you know, how do you tell when it's dry? Well, if you touch it and it's still wet, then it's not dry. Alright, so that's dry. So now we're going to make our salt mixture. And for that, you need plaster of Paris. And we're going to do probably about 2 spoonsful plaster of Paris, something around there. You can see I'm not being real precise. Okay, and see, like I said, it's not a neat process, although I don't want it on my tag here. Alright, and then to that, we're going to add the same amount of water. So we're going to put about 2 spoonsful of water. We're going to mix that up. And you have to work pretty quick with this because it is plaster, and so it will harden, you know, not instantly, but you can't put it in here and let it set, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now to that, we're going to add about 3 spoonsful of paint. And a lot of this is going to depend on how big the surface is you're going to cover. Again, you know, I'm not being real precise. Mix that in there. And this is going to be really thick, and so when you start mixing it up and it gets really thick and you think you've messed up, you haven't. It's going to be thick. And you can do this, you know, whatever color you want to. Okay, and then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to add your salt. I use kosher salt. You do want a more coarse salt. I'm just going to put that in there. 1 might be enough. We'll see. Oh, I think I'm going to do a little more. Alright, and then you're going to mix that up, mess that up. I actually think I'm going to put a little more paint. I'm going a little thicker consistency than what I've got there. And I think I want a little bit more plaster in there as well. You can kind of tell when you've been, once you start this, when you get to the consistency that is needed. And I'll show you when I get there so you can kind of see what we're going for. Now, I have kept this, you know, in a jar, but it's not going to last more than a day or 2. So, you know, if you feel like that you're going to not use it all, on the project you're working on, you probably are going to have to use it on something, you know, in a couple of days. Because if you don't, it's going to turn hard as a rock. And it won't be useful. Alright, so I think we got it now. So the consistency that you're wanting is kind of, you know, cake battery like. See how that is pretty thick? So you can just start, you know, don't add any more water. Water is your least ingredient, but you can alternate between the salt in the plaster of Paris until you get, you know, where you want to be. And that's pretty good right there. All right, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to take a brush that's got pretty stiff bristles, and I'm going to just dip it down in here, and I'm going to pounce. You don't want to brush. You don't want brush strokes. You just want to pounce it. You don't have to worry about covering everything. But you want to cause texture. You want to, you know, you want your tag to have texture. Move the bowl a little bit so you can see the tag better. But we're just going to pounce this down on here. I'm going to try to not get that little hole reinforcer and leave it brown, but we'll see how that goes. I may get some on there. We can always put another one on top if we need to. But yeah, you're just gonna kind of pounce it all over. Okay, and then actually I'm going to go ahead and cover it up, and we'll just put another one on there. It's going to look better than me trying to go around it. So after you get it all covered, then you're going to dry that. And I'm not sure how long this is going to take. If I'm going to do it a couple seconds or a couple minutes, and if it seems like it's going to be forever, I will pause and come back when it's dry. The purpose of this is to make it look like it is something that has been setting out, baking in the sun forever, particularly something that has been exposed to the ocean air for a really long time, and it's, you know, been really weathered. Okay, now while that is drying, and because I have more paint, I'm going to go ahead and prepare another one, and then we'll move to the next step. So for this one, I am going to use this gray, I think. Let me wash my brush out here. Actually, no, yeah, I am. I'm going to use this gray. All right, so let's do it. Oops, the gray base coat. It's kind of a taupey gray, isn't it? Okay. Oops. See what I mean? It's messy. And I am messy with paint anyway. That's why I have on my paint sweatshirt. I have clothes in my wardrobe that are paint clothes because I cannot do anything like this without getting stuff anywhere, everywhere. So when I decided I was going to do this today, I pulled out my paint sweatshirt. See how this one's doing. Give it another little shot since we already have the heat gun on. Okay. And I would recommend you mixing your mixture up in a glass container. Because it does have the plaster of Paris in it. And that way when you go to clean it, it will clean up better out of a glass container. Alright, so again, I'm just going to pounce it all over. We want to get lots of texture going. My idea is will work on paper that I want to do a book cover like this. So looks like that if I can get this to work, I may have enough left in that bowl to go ahead and do a book cover as well, which would be excellent. Okay, put that back in the water. We'll move this over out of the way now. And we'll get this one semi-dry. Tool sounds like it's on its last leg. I hope not. I'm going to set that one over to the side and concentrate on getting this one completely dry. It's pretty close to being there. You can always cover the back of these tags once you get everything done. I'm just trying to let the heat pass through so that it kind of dries from both sides. Alright, I think we're pretty close to being dry. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to determine what we want for our top coat. Now, for this one, I think what I'm going to do is take the gray that we used. No, I'm not. I'm going to use this color. This is burnt sienna. And that way we can give it kind of a rust kind of look, I think. We're going to try it anyway. Alright, so get my brush here. And we're going to just paint over this area, and you can see the texture that we put on with the salt wash process kind of popping out now. And again, you don't have to cover it completely, but you want to get a pretty good coat on there because when we do the last step, the magic will really happen, and you'll be able to see the beauty of this technique. I used to love to do this technique on furniture. Okay. We're going to dry that. Dry, dry, dry. Put my brush back in the water. And I get my plaster of Paris from either Lowe's or Home Depot. I believe that Hobby Lobby has it as well. But I usually get mine from either Lowe's or Home Depot. In a perfect world, you would want to let this air dry so that it doesn't get the little bubbles popping up. But, you know, for the purpose of the video, then that's a different story. Alright, so we're pretty much dry. So now what you want to do, and this is the part that I'm hoping is going to work well. You're going to take a sanding disc or sandpaper or, you know, whatever sanding block, whatever you have that you sand with, and we're going to sand over the whole thing. Of course, on furniture, you do this with a sander, with an electric sander. But I'm hoping that I can sand this down on this paper using the sanding disc, that it's going to be strong enough. So that's what we're going to do. And the point that you are what you're trying to accomplish is you're trying to smooth down the salt items and expose all the colors that you put on here. You know, I could go through and I could put another color if I wanted. As a matter of fact, let's do that. Let's put just a little bit of the gray on here as well. You can do as many colors as you want. There is no... Oops. I didn't want to put half the jar on my thing there. And I'm just going to kind of do this. Okay. Let's see, right now it looks like a hot mess. Try that. I didn't put much, so hopefully it won't take but a second to dry. Again, I apologize for all the drying time, but I thought it was important for you guys to see the whole process and not just me telling you what I've done. Okay. So hopefully we're dry enough now that we can sand it and it'll be okay. All right, here goes. We're going to take the sander and we're just going to start sanding. in the point that you're trying to make, and I can see some of the papers filling up, or the point you're trying to make. The final process that you want to happen is you want all the different colors that you put on here to show through at some point. This sanding disc actually may be a little too strong for the paper. I don't think I have a finer grit up here right now. So you want to sand it until you get, you know, a little bit of everything showing through. So you want a little bit of the dark brown, you want the blue, you want the gray, you want the kind of rust color. And it's kind of hard to see anything right now because we have all the dust on here. You can even have, you know, some of the craft paper if you want shining through. It just depends on how much you sand and what you have going. This, like I said, probably should have dried a little bit more. And just kind of feel around until you feel like that you've gotten it pretty smooth. And you have the desired look that you want. Alright, let me grab myself a clean piece of paper here. Give me just one sec. Alright, so after we've done that, I'm going to take this baby wipe and I'm just going to wipe the dust away. And look at the magic. Okay, so there's our piece. Let's dry that, and then I'm going to take some matte gel medium, or I have some clear gesso, and I'm going to put it on top to seal everything. I think I'll use matte gel medium because I want to make sure that it stays really matte finished. You do not have to use, you can use wall paint to do this, if you have leftover wall paint, but I would suggest that whatever you use be a flat paint. That's what I used when I did furniture, was flat paint. Okay, so I'm going to get my matte gel here and another brush, and I'm going to just cover it to seal it. All right, now you can decorate it however you want. You can, you know, put whatever kind of focal point you want, or, you know, whatever, words, whatever you want to finish it. I'm going to put this one over here too and finish getting it dry, and we'll do this other one with maybe some other colors. I'm very pleased with how it turned out on the paper. And it is still totally damp. Like I said, you know, in a perfect world, you would let all that dry before you did the sanding. Show you a close-up of that one. You can see all the texture. Colors do we want to put on the top of this one? I think I might want to put lovely yellow for some reason. And yellow is not my color. But maybe if I had a let's see. I might have like a gold yellow. Let's try that one. And maybe a tad of red. Let's go bold. Alright, so that one's pretty much dry. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments what you think about this process. I'm going to put it straight on there this time so I'm not worried about putting my hand in the paint. And these acrylics are just inexpensive acrylics that I got at Hobby Lobby. You can also use the folk art paint if you want, or the, you know, any of those little inexpensive acrylics will work fine. Any kind of water-based paint. Like I said, if you have leftover wall paint, that would work. As long as it's water-based, not an oil-based paint. Okay, so there's our yellow, and I'm going to put just a tad of that red. Here and there. Ooh, it's really bright. Yeah, we're not going to put a lot of that. May turn orange. Okay, let's get that dry. So I made myself a journal for putting all these grungy things in so I'd remember what we did every week and could go back and reference it. So this is it. I don't have the signature sewn in yet, but this is going to be my grungy journal. And I just love it. This book it's very grungy. You can see on the back, it has all kinds of water stains and stuff on it. So this is a one of those wall calendars from like the 70s, you know, that had some kind of picture on it, and then it had a calendar down at the bottom. I tore that off that, and then I've got just some antique lace, and this is a Tim Holtz little plaque. It says property of the art department. If found, please return. And I've got some vintage music and some packaging paper and some vintage buttons. And then I made me a little castle to go on the end that's got some of my favorite little pieces on it. And then this is a grungy little tag that's coffee stain, and it says use your wings. So that's going to be, and I've got all my pages torn and ready to sew in, but I haven't put them in there yet. And that way I can put my little tags or, you know, little processes down in there and make little notes if I need to about how certain things got done and have them for the future. So still feeling a little wet, guys. I'm going to turn it over on this side and dry it a little bit. So, what's everybody else working on? I have my fall journals done. I don't know if you saw my posts on Instagram, but those are available in my Etsy shop if anybody's interested. And then I've got 2 general journals that are also listed. So I'm almost ready to move on to Christmas, I think. Even though it seems early, but then, you know, you think on the other hand, it's not really that early. So, I'm going to be starting those probably this week sometime. There's so many great kits out there. I'm going to use digitals, I think, with, I don't really have any vintage Christmas ephemera. I do have a few in my little scrapbook cards. There's a few Christmas cards and stuff in there I probably could use, but ow, that's hot. I don't really have much Christmas antique-y, vintagey stuff, so I'm probably going to use digital. So if you have a digital kit for Christmas, let me know and I'll take a peek at it and see what I can do with it. Alright, so I'm letting this cool just a second and then we'll sand it. Let's see how this one comes out. Alright, here we go. So same thing, we're just gonna kind of sand it down with our disc. Remember, we have the gray undercoat on this one, so we have a lighter undercoat for this one than we did for the dark brown. And I do still feel like I need probably a finer grit sandpaper than what is on this disc. And for this to be totally dry, that would definitely help. And again, you're just going to sand till you get kind of a smooth surface and the look that you feel like you want. Okay, that feels fairly smooth. Get a little bit more right in here. Alright, let's take our wipe. Let's see what we've got. Gorgeous. Okay, dry that real quick. And we're just drying the wet wipe off. So that just takes a second. And then we'll put our net gel on there. This one, I think. Okay. And again, clear gesso, Tim Holtz collage medium. You could use Munch Podge if you wanted a little bit more shiny top coat. I just prefer the matte because I think it looks better with this finish, but you definitely could use, you know, some watered down white glue. Anything to just kind of seal it so that you're not getting any more peel off. And I like matte gel because it just dries really quickly. Okay, so that one's pretty much dry. I'll let them finish air drying, and then we'll ink this other one just to see what happens if we ink the edges, if that will, I'm gonna make this out of the way, if that will enhance it any. Wipe that off just a little bit, get rid of my dust. So let's use gathered twigs and ink up the edges on this one. Oh yeah. Put it up here where you can see. You can tell it's kind of wet still. It's kind of crinkling up. So I'll put them under my glass mat or something until it dries. I really bad want to put a number right there in that little space to see if you can stamp on it. Shall we try it? I can always cover it up if it doesn't work. Or do we want words? like big words. You would have to use big letters. I think. Let's try that. And let's do it with, where's my block? Let's do it with permanent ink. I'm trying to reach my block. There we go. So I'm going to do it with stays on. Sorry, I couldn't see it. Timber brown. And I think I have that smooth enough that it's going to stamp. Yep, I like that. I like that a lot. Let's do a big number. See, this is what happens. Oh, let's do this, let's do this. And I end up doing 5 million things to it. That's the point, right? What happens if I put this file in there? Oh, sorry, that was awful. Yep. I'm liking the stamping on it. Now I want something right there. A number. This last one, guys. All right, what do you think? I'm liking it. Now, I would suggest that if you stamp on that, that you let it dry a little bit, especially if you use a really squishy ink pad like mine is. All right. Oh, we need to put a reinforcer on there, don't we? Just to make it look finished. So there we go. There's this one, which I'm very happy with. And then there's this one, which is not totally dry yet. But I like all the colors. And I'll find some stamps to put on that one too, I'm sure. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments. And again, thanks for wanting me to continue with the series. And hopefully I can come up with some more stuff for us to try. And I'm going to use the rest of my concoction here on a book cover. So I'll show you that next time. I will see you guys back tomorrow for I saw it on Pinterest. Until then, everybody have a good evening. Bye.